Welcome back to Business Line. It's now time for a weekly segment on how to invest our hard-earned money. Over to you, Rajiv.
Thank you, Pranav. Today we'll be talking about wealth management. In our studios, we have Mr. Pattabi Ram. He's the founder and partner of Yoganandan Ram. Welcome, Mr. Pattabi.
Thank you.
Let me first ask you, what is wealth management?
If you break it down to its bare bone, I would think wealth management would just mean managing money with a goal. One needs to lay down some long-term goals, just as one would lay down long-term goals in one's career, and try see how he goes about accomplishing that.
Now, talking about what kind of things do I want to invest in. On this show, we've covered mutual funds, we've covered secondary markets, primary markets. We've also talked about gold. If I understand this correctly, you're saying you and your approach would cover almost every way of investing.
I would believe that yes, we need to cover every way of investing, including real estate investment. I think at the leading edge, there are people who might even look at artifacts as arts as a form of investing. The need to bundle yourself with a lot of investments is that you never know which is going to do well, which is not going to do well. If you have looked at gold, for instance, gold has given remarkable return in the last couple of years, whereas for close to 25 years before that, the returns were not great. So you never know which investment will do well, which investment will not do well. It is therefore a good idea not to put all your eggs in one basket. Good to spread, good to invest in all forms of investment opportunities.
Well, pretty good. So we have a pretty wide canvas then in all these three dimensions. And you teach chartered accountants, you teach people like us on how to invest. Where should we start? Because it looks like you cover everything there.
Depends on when one wants to start. If one is looking at starting at the age of 20, 21, I would think equity market is a great place to invest. Because history shows, both abroad and in India, that over the long haul, it is the equity market that gives good returns. Starting with the equity market is a great way to invest. And if today the equity markets have become more dicey, today you need a lot of research to do. Therefore, I would think one good way where someone can start is investing is via the mutual funds. That is where the person should start investing in. Then, of course, the many investments that you talked about, property investment is another critical area because that, if you've looked at it, the last 4 or 5 years have given phenomenal return. Start with mutual funds, have an action plan in terms of how much money I want to build, what is the kind of money I want to build across what time frame, and go towards achieving that.
So probably one question that comes to mind as an investor is, should I look into these markets myself? Are there tools available outside that I could use and do it myself? Or should I work with a wealth manager?
No, I think one can work with oneself. This is common sense investment. The most important thing is that in investments, you neither should get too greedy, nor should you become too fearsome. For example, if you talk the equity markets, when the markets were 8,000, people said, oh, this is not the market to invest in. Today, when it is 17,000, 2 times that price, there are a lot of people rushing in to invest. I'm not saying whether this is the right time or that is the wrong time. I'm just trying to say that if you cut out greed and fear, you can be an investor by yourself. But equity investment today requires a lot of effort. So I would think that maybe unless one is very strong in that, it would be a good idea to route it through the mutual fund route. Taking the help of a wealth manager always helps because if you discuss impassionately with someone else, he would be able to help you lay down a roadmap. Wealth management is not just about putting in lots of investments and placing it there. Wealth management is also about trying to see when you can become financially independent. Do you want to become financially independent by the time you're 35 or 40 or 45? Financially independent would mean that thereafter you don't have to go to a job for the sake of earning money. You then go to a job because you love that job. Today, financial independence is all the more important because unlike in the past, where we had the joint family system in place, which is not there now, and also unlike in the past, today jobs are not for sure. So as early as possible, if someone becomes financially independent, and I would think if one plans well, can become financially independent at the age of 40, 45. And thereafter, you can lead the life that you want.
So what makes a wealth manager, if I understand this correctly, stand out is physical proximity. Somebody's there, they can come and take your advice, talk to you as a human. You'll come to understand their limitations, their risk awareness or risk affinity, their income levels, and based on that you can give them personalized advice about how to structure.
I would just add one more thing to that to say that the relationship with a wealth manager should not be a one-off kind of relationship. If you want to get the best out of it, you will have to interact with him that much more closely, more often. I do not know whether my parallel is right, but it's something like a family doctor. Here you're talking to a financial doctor, and you need to be in touch with him constantly. Just because something goes wrong, you can't say, oh, this man has spoiled my money. If you genuinely feel that he has done that and guilty of negligence, that's one thing. Second thing is that investments can go wrong. Even Warren Buffett has lost close to 27% a year or 2 years back. So investments can go wrong. If you're with a wealth manager for a long term, that is what really helps.
Thank you, Mr. Patabi, for being with us today. Lots of insights and deep thoughts there. We might want to come back to this particular topic and talk a little bit more in details. Pranav, back to you.
Thanks, Rajiv. When we return, we'll be catching up with a corporate head and a young celeb who's worked his money well.